So, hello everybody and welcome to a special video where I'm going to be showing you my build of the Lost World R.V. Arguably, in my opinion, the coolest vehicle that this franchise has ever gotten. Why? Because it came at the right time for me. It came at the right time when I was a kid and I was playing with toys, and one of the things I would do is play like army men, going to an island, setting up a base camp, and this was kind of like a science thing, and it's just something that's been lacking from the most recent Jurassic films, which is something that just looks really cool. So, first off, I just want to say a shout out to two people. First is Bala D, who, this is the original one, well, not the original one, we'll get into this, because the workshop is crazy for not showcasing the right people or anyone in particular. So I started off, I typed in, it was Lost World R.V, because I just wanted to put something in for the short video that I made for my ecosystem video, and because I knew I was going to use the RV or something like that. And as you can see, this is their build. I'll put up their code and everything. The screenshot should be on the screen right now. And the thing is, they put all credit goes to the original creator, Altered Perceptions. So, which they basically took the original of and added some of the camo patterns that you see on the side and the dirts and what have you. And I couldn't find the original until right now when I typed in Lost World R.V. or whatever and went through a few pages and eventually found the original, which was made by Altered Perceptions, has loads more downloads and everything, but this is the one that I found. So, I have been researching the Lost World R.V. for a long time and want to do a documentary on it. It already has a group of people who got the original, made a restoration, ended up selling it. It's now in Japan right now. It's on display at the Comic-Con in Tokyo every year, and I've went to see it. I've walked inside it, and I've talked to the people or someone who knows the owners, which is basically the convention. And I wanted to remake it as screen accurate as I could in the game. So I first started, of course, with... Sorry, it's really fast at the moment. And you're going to need a cup of tea because it's going to be a long video. So one thing that struck me about this one was the back. The back of the RV, which does this weird, like, sloping out and then sloping back in. It's not flat. It's not straight at any one point. And the person that made this, the Baladio, sorry, what's it called? Altered Perceptions, the guy who made it, obviously just used random things, and they were really resourceful, especially when it came to the tires. When it came to the front, they used a Portaloo, I think, for the top, so they did an amazing job and made it pretty damn accurate. But I think if you want to make something, you know, as accurate as you can, you're kind of gonna have to spend hours. This entire build took me 12 hours to do. 8 hours for the back, and then 4 hours for the front, which I duplicated the back. So even though I used his as a base, I really wish I hadn't, because I don't know what sort of rotations they used, and things were kind of out of whack. And the thing is with this game, when you select multiples and they've got a little bit of rotation out of sync from everything else, or even that they're just weirdly different pieces, you can't move them in the normal axes, and that's still something that's a bit of a problem. So again, this was my first proper build in the game, and I was still getting to grips with how to move everything, and even things weren't second nature to me, so it took a while to eventually get to that point, which is why this took 12 hours. But you will be able to find this in the workshop. I will put the share code for this in the video description, so all you have to do is copy and paste it if you're on PC. If you're on console, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do for you there. And also, I messed around with, you know, adding like maybe something different for the license plate, but I decided against that. I was like, nah, it's fine the way it is. I want to try and keep it screen accurate. What really was an issue was corners, seams. And especially when you scale things, everything has to be scaled either just kept normal, the biggest or the smallest. God help you if you're trying to scale something like just a little bit and then match that to everything else. Unless you duplicate, there's no way. And that's one of the reasons why I just didn't, I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't have copied this. So originally there's me matching up the top, but I later found out that actually no, the top does go in. Again, amazing job on the guttering from Altered Perceptions. That's the one. And I wanted to try and find windows that match. Like, the RV has this really cool look to it, and that is the bars on the windows and the slats. And what this person did, they just found something that matched, the windows, and were like, bonk, there you go. But I wanted to make sure that I found something that was as accurate as possible, to get that little sticky out. But here's me just doing the pipes. Now, the pipes are an interesting one, because on the restored version of the RV, and here's me redoing the pipes because they were just off. The rotations were off, so I had to remake things. So I basically made this from scratch. I used the original as a base, and then slowly but surely deleted everything from it. Here's me putting off doing the back, because the back slants out, and here's me looking. That big stop there is me looking at other references, footages and stuff. And it's just so frustrating, because there's little bits of the pipe that go round the top, but you can't easily do that, because the pipes are just so long. Even when you scale them down, it's like a proper L shape, which is unfortunate. And I now realize why they made the pipes the way they did. So, and again, really resourceful using the AC units as the little hatches, because along the bottom of the actual RV, there's these little doors that open to access. I think it was the Fleetwood... Oh, God, what was it called? I remember exactly the model and make of it. I've forgotten now I can't remember off the top of my head. Primitives. This whole thing is primitives, basically. And what I realized was that I couldn't make them the way I needed them because they weren't thick enough. So I had to turn them on their sides and then just duplicate multiples, which happens especially at the front. I was really dreading the front because at the same time I had altered perceptions to go off of, because if ever I was stuck, and I knew, I was like, okay, well, what did they do? And I went to their build and was like, oh, okay, so they did that. So my idea was I'll do one side, and then I'll just go over to the other side. But they did a great job with the handles. The lights, I decided to turn the lights down, because they were facing down. But this back, there was no way that you can do the back with random objects. You have to do it this way, unfortunately. And especially when you duplicate multiple primitives like that, the pattern also duplicates itself as well, which is unfortunate. So, but luckily, because you have the camo pattern, it mixes it up. I will say the only downside with the camo pattern is that you have to bring it out quite a bit from the wall. Otherwise, when you zoom out, it phases through windows and does weird things, which my build does. But you have to be pretty far out in order to see it. It's not like a couple of meters and then it sort of phases. So a lot of this is just me duplicating, getting things precise, seeing where things were, and then in the end I deleted the whole windows on the other side. And I tried duplicating the other one. You can see me take all the pipes and the AC units and try and rotate it and duplicate it. But again, because it's just so weird, when you grab multiple objects that are rotated differently, or even just in general, it won't give you that satisfying, like, oh yeah, that's it, exactly mirrored. It'll be like, oh, it's a little bit skew whiff off this way. And you're like, oh, why'd you do that? So what you end up having to do is duplicate it piece by piece, or at least pieces that work together, then flip it, then move it. And even then, you're not getting it exactly because there's no grid. So there's three tiers. There's the main base, the main front of it, and then you've got the underneath, which sits slightly in, and then you've got the top, which also sits slightly in. So there's a lot of work that went into this. I don't know how long it took Altered Perceptions to do this, but theirs, at the time of me making this, was the best. And for the longest time, I haven't been using anyone's blueprints in any builds or anything like that, because I feel like I didn't deserve it. Like I haven't uploaded anything. Who am I to just take other people's things and go, hey, look at this! This looks amazing! Give me money. Which is quite interesting, because you've got to draw a fine line, especially where there's a lot of content creators out there that do showcases. And I'm sure for the creators, it's brilliant because they get their showcasing. But I do think if you're doing that, you need to upload your stuff. Because, it's all this pollinating platform. You upload some things, somebody else uploads some things, you all work together. So I wanted to make sure that the first thing I uploaded was really good. or at least, you know, something I was quite proud of and took a lot of time. I didn't expect this to be my first one, but hey ho, here we are. And for me, I wanted to clear up a lot of the seams, so I just used the gantry. The amount of times I've had to type gantry into the Finder. But yeah, lots of gantries. And there's a lot of things I could have just left. And I was originally thinking of deleting the camo patterns because they're just dirt, they're just rubble. And until we get some nice camo patterns in the game, which I hope either comes with mods or comes with some DLCs, that it's just the way it's got to be. And also, I'm quite precious over my own things, and knowing that there is just so many people out there that just steal and don't give credit and re-upload, it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, come on, guys. I mean, I think if you modify something enough, it makes sense. When you are literally just re-uploading, it's a bit of a shame. Also, I'm censored on the workshop, by the way. Beaver is a censored word. So I've seen so many people making Isla Sorna Replication Islands going, this was inspired by gaming. Gaming. Can't do that. Can't say that. So I've got a word with Frontier. I'm going to be like, oi, why are you censoring Beaver? Yeah? Why are you doing that? You should take that out of Planet Zoo then, eh? Take that animal out. I'll no longer cover your games. But no, of course. So this is me using the gantry as bars. And they're quite thick. And on the original, they're rounded. They're circular. And of course, they stick out a little bit as well. So with the gantry, the way the gantry is, it's L shapes. So it doesn't go far. Also, it wouldn't let me undo things. And that was really frustrating for me. I was like, oh my god, why can't I undo things? And it just randomly sometimes when I load in, it'll be like, oh good. And then other times it'll go, no, you can't undo anymore. So here's me just trying to work out how to do the windows. Because as soon as I do one window, the rest will come naturally, I think. Or I thought, I should say. And this is the lab part. This is where a good chunk of the movie takes place, where they fix the broken leg of the T-Rex, where they are hanging over the cliff, where the T-Rexes, you know, push them over. It is Lost World. Honestly, it's just such a good movie, for me anyway, personally. And then when I spend so much time doing this, and I just think, if I've spent all this time trying to make this as accurately as possible, why the frick am I using something that's not accurate? Or, you know, there's got to be some pieces in this game that I can recreate, and I do find something, but again, it's just it's a workaround. Here's me trying to find that perfect line, you know, that sticks out, and I think that's perfect. It goes in the right way, but then if you look at it, it does this weird clipping, and I'm like, oh no, there's got to be something that doesn't do this clipping of all of them. And again, I tried doing the L shapes here, and I decided actually it's better if we just have the top and bottom overlap the middle, and that looks nicer. So a lot of this was me trying to work out ways in order to make it work, because it looks, that's perfect. The shape is perfect, but the way it duplicates is not. So, and then I find a beautiful bit, and it's some sort of cement, you know, for a building, like a little bit of a. Oh, I didn't realize I found that. And there it is. Oh, wait, no. The texture's wrong and it's too thick. I'm like, oh, no, it's too thick. And then I find this bit. I'm like, oh, it's kind of perfect. And if, you know, you make it the same color, it works. Oh, no, that wasn't it. It was this bit. It was metal, actually. End trim of something. So, you know, and this is something I came to appreciate when I was working on this and also looking at the other build at the same time. And I was just marveling at the different things that this person managed to use to make their RV, whereas I'm doing exactly the same, but it's almost like I'm working together with them, but not really, because like I said, my build ended up just being its own, even though I was comparing it and cross-referencing with real references, and then using their build as a good way of going, oh, what did they use there? And I wanted to make the lights accurate. I want to make as many things accurate as possible. A lot of the gantry I ended up deleting. And see, this is the L shape with the pipe. It's just too long. And I looked at this and went, oh, look, time for Teletubbies. Somebody could make a Teletubby park with that. It's brilliant. And that's really the best I could kind of do with it. Any lower and it just sort of cuts through the pipes. And this is where I decide, actually, no, we need to work out a way to set that in a little bit. Because the actual RV they used, they just plonked this massive wooden structure on the top. And you know, Bob's your uncle. You've got a mobile science lab. A lot of the corners were hard with the gantry as well. I used a lot of smaller parts. It was just one single bit, which left this, you know, the stand at the bottom is supposed to stick out the ground as if, you know, it's a support for it. And I ended up deleting a lot of them and just using the long bit of the gantry and just coloring it a different color. So a lot of this is, again, just me working out what to use, going through, because I was looking to see if there's any way I could add Fleetwood on there, any way I could use InGen, and this is me, if there's any way of me, you know, using a sphere or circle in some way to sort of smooth that bit there, because it's almost like a diagonal. It's not, you know, this thing. But again, a lot of things you put in that are long enough are too wide, and they cover windows, they block everything. And when I was showing Whitney this, she said, "Oh, what does it look like on the inside?" I was like, "You don't want to see it on the inside. It's just a mess." But that would be so cool. And again, the RV is something that's big enough in this game that you can relatively do. You know, because you know, a lot of these parts only go so small, and it's massive. In fact, when my daughter came down at one point, and she was sort of, I was working on this, and you know, I wasn't even realizing it was on. She looked and went, "Choo choo," like train, because it's that long, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess yeah, there you go." But I guess that's approval there from my daughter that yes, it's long enough. It looks like a train. That's kind of, I guess, what it looks like. It doesn't look like a car or a truck to her, it looks more like a train. So now that I'm watching this is sped up. Ooh, if 15 times speed this is. So, you know, it's still under an hour, this whole thing. So, and here's me checking to see what the lights look like at night as well. But a lot of this was me finding things that would hide other things, you know, to make it look seamless. And then, of course, because I don't know, and I didn't think about this when I put it down. When I placed it down, did I rotate a little bit? Did I not? Because if I rotated a little bit, then the whole thing is slightly out of axis. And if anyone decides to, you know, download this and edit it and change it, it won't work as well. Like, because when I grabbed something in the back, moved it all the way to the front RV, it was just slightly off, and I was like, and I had to move it back in. And so that's one of the things that I regret not doing at the very beginning, and one of the steps that just ended up biting me in the arse for the whole time was just start from scratch. I should have started from scratch, but I didn't. I grabbed theirs and then moved it back and just slowly built from it. There probably is pieces in this that could be deleted to, you know, put the object count down, that may even just be stuck in the middle. In fact, I did that when I was working on the front bit of the RV, and I deleted the entire front, and I saw inside. I was like, what the hell's this doing? I sort of cleared everything, because again, it was their build. Because I didn't use their front build at all. I just used the back, and then when I duplicated my back to make the front, there you go. And this is me actually getting ready for some lights and realizing that there's just some weird thing. Even though the same light, I've duplicated, I've rotated it. When I move it forward, it goes off to the side for some reason, and rotation's like slightly off. And hopefully they fix that. I don't know. It would just be nice. A stroke of genius from them to make in the middle, the joiner bit, a tent. I didn't even think about that. That was absolutely amazing. There's a lot of things in the workshop that are labeled weirdly. Like, there are cameras, but they're not called camera. You type in camera, you won't find it. You have to type in facility decoration, or something like that. So obviously they had a thing. And then this was something as well that I noticed. The back of the RV has this curve that comes out. And again, you might not have ever noticed that was a thing. But because I was trying to make this as accurate as possible, I was really trying to find vents and things that would have looked right, objects that fit that exact bit. So at the bottom, it has this curve, and then it has curves that go round it. And when I went to see the RV restoration bit, I took loads of pictures, not knowing I was going to do this. So, you know, for the documentary I'm going to eventually work on, I'm just getting lots of footage eventually to pile together. I noticed that one of the chunks on the corner was missing. So I could see exactly how, you know, what wood was used and whatnot. And I guess we could have used wood. I deleted their entire roof. Of course, they just took artistic liberty, basically, putting solar panels on it, and it works. It's really cool. It looks like, you know, a real lab. Like, it would have solar panels on the top and everything. They also put a satellite on the front, which I don't think the original RV had. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check that now. If it did have a satellite. And here we go. I find this red and white pole that was used for some sort of traffic or something like that. And the only problem is that it only goes so small. So, it does actually go quite small, but at the same time, then the width is changed. So what I could have done is separated the windows and, you know, moved them the same. But I didn't like the thought that the bar on one window was going to be thicker than the other. So what I ended up doing was just joining those windows together. And I was looking at things to make wheels there. I was like, what does a wheelbarrow look like? Or what is, you know, if we just stuck that in, how does that wheel look? Because a lot of the decorations you can't break apart. They are just one solid object. And again, here's me looking at what they used and then looking at references and seeing what they used for the light bar at the top as well. There was no real good light equivalent, a circular light at all here. So I ended up combining two lights together, one for the base and then one for the circle, I think. And then it came to the door. And that's why I was looking at that. I was like, there's got to be something I can do. Because the door that he used had this, you know, a normal sort of lock, like a door handle. And if you've ever seen the movie, you've ever been in an RV, they don't have those sort of handles on an RV. They have like a pull door. And actually, I remember when I went to see the RV, he closed the door, and it was so hard to actually open it. And I remember actually watching the people who restored it, and one of the guys was struggling to open the door, and I was like, yep, it's the same RV. And I was hoping to find, you know, a window that looked similar, but I came, you know, to the same conclusion that the other guy did who made the RV, and that there was no other equivalent. The windows in this game are great, but it just needs more variety. This is unfortunate. And then I've started working on this side, and unfortunately the windows are different from side to side, especially at the front. The front has big differences, and the front actually has its bit that can extend out. I don't think the back does have an extension bit, which I don't think it was ever extended in the movie, but I assume just the original Fleetwood has that. So here's me just like trying to find out. There's got to be a different window I can use. Saving, reloading, because again, there was just sometimes in the game when it wouldn't allow me to select something. It'd be like, no. Even though it's right there, I can't select it. A great fix for that, I realized, was just to do the multiple select and drag, like the square selection over a bunch of things, and then deselect others. And that seemed to fix it, and then you could select it normally. But obviously at this point, I hadn't realized that, and I was just like, oh, well, I'll just reload, and reloading also works. And again, you would think that just grab the original windows on the left side or right side and duplicate, rotate, move it, done. No, because there are so many different objects that when you do duplicate it, and instead of the axis looking like that, so you can just flip it exactly, it looks like that. So there's no way. So what you have to do is take all the same parts, duplicate it, move it, duplicate it, move it over, and then rotate on 90 degrees. You might not get the exact position right, but you know for a fact you can get the 90 or 180 degrees right. And that's what's important. It's either that or just do it again. Here's me looking at different AC units as well. I was like, okay, well, if they used AC units, what else can I make work here? And again, it's finding them to being able to stick out while also not sticking through the thing. And there's me just, I think I ended up duplicating a little bit too much. Oh, sorry, the tent. I made 2 tents, and I saw this, and I was like, actually, that's a really good, you know, sort of thing that we could have used. This slat sort of vent sort of thing. And then I spent ages on this because all I want is this little bubble roof on the top of the vehicle. This little bubble roof, and I was like, okay, well, if I just select the curved roof, and then maybe I can make it work, and you know, that might work. But in the end, I think I decided there was no way to actually make it work without it sticking out either the sides of the RV or where the canopy is for the in-between, the walkway. So I think in the end, I just went, oh, sod it. I'll just do that. I didn't find many references for the pack. I watched the restoration videos for a lot. I was just hoping they did a drone over the top. And I think they definitely had a drone at one point, but I wasn't going to sit through, like, tens of hours of footage just to, you know, see exactly what it looked like. I saw what it kind of looked like from a distance, and I went, okay, got it. And the thing is, with the front especially, the pipes are off the chart. There's 2 vents, and there's 4 pipes on either side going off the RV. There's 4 pipes going off the RV on the other one, and I ended up just being like, no, I'm not doing that, because for a start, this is the L-shaped pipe I can do, and it's so high. There's no way I can make that work without it, you know, just cutting out of the RV or just going nowhere. And again, I was looking through the workshop today because, you know, I'm gonna upload this, and I was like, what have people done? Is there another RV out there? I saw one that was done ages ago that was just the trailers from the DLC pack. I think it was the Badlands. Here's me just making a little bit of a more accurate tire. I was looking for anything that maybe I could get this little, you know, thing for it. I just find it weird that they have tires that don't have alloys in the middle. Like, well, why? I mean, cool to have spare tires, but at least have the option, like, have another one that does. Because you have cars. You have cars that have it in. And this is where I remember thinking to myself, okay, let's use dirt, and then, you know, sand looks better. Perfect. But then this weird fractal effect happens. Like, there's noise if it's too light on the dirt. It was like, if you go dark, perfect. But you go light green, white, yeah, anything, and it just looks weird. And then it also made it look kind of moldy. I was like, ah. And I was getting a bit disheartened at this point. I was like, well, that's just a big crack. I don't know if I like a big crack in my RV. So I think I just ended up like scrapping the concrete cracks and stuff and going for bigger ones. I think I did use cracks on the back just because there was, you know, narrow bits that run past that window. But, you know, this is one thing. This is one RV, one vehicle that hopefully you guys are going to place in your park if you're making your own site Bs, or you want to have, like, you know, you recreate the movie, or just have something that looks badass, you know what I mean? Of a mobile lab. I have an interesting way that maybe you could have it move by moving a little bit, moving a little bit, moving a little bit, and doing that however many times you can undo, and then just going undo, and it'll go. So I think I'm going to do that for one of my videos. Obviously this video will go out when I've used it in a video. I'm recording this before I've used it in a video, because, you know, I want to use it first before anyone else gets to, and I want everyone to see it in the episode, which will be the Sanctuary Island. I also want to use it in another idea I have, which is going to take some time. But now, again, like I've said, now that I have the RV and I've uploaded something to the workshop, there are so many amazing creations on there. So I think there's a guy called Galahad who's made loads of the hunter vehicles, the Humvees, and so on and so forth. So and there was someone who made the Mercedes, and bless them, they were like, I tried my best, but and it is. But the thing is, the Mercedes is too small. It's too small, I think, to really get accurate. There's no windows that can match. There's no nothing. Unless you already use a truck, an existing truck, I think is the only way. I'm not saying it's possible. I think you probably could do it. I haven't looked into it. But if you're just looking at objects to throw on, you've got to go primitive. You gotta go primitive. You gotta go caveman. This looks nice. Yes, caveman. And that way you'll probably make an accurate one. And again, there's like some dirt on the steps. I think the other guy did. If he didn't, then I must have seen it on something else, because I don't think that was my original idea. And then I brought out the windows further than I'd like, just for the screen accuracy. But then here's me zooming out and seeing, like, are they facing through? Are they not? How far can I go out before it's acceptable? Because eventually, as you go away, that will happen. It doesn't matter how far away. The windows would have to be out like a massive amount, a couple of meters, before they would never be shown the decals underneath. And here's me just duplicating, and then I think I messed things around, and I grab everything again. I probably should have made them groups so that they were easier to move. But again, you make it a group, it does that weird thing. I think there are some times, actually, if you make it a group, then it fixes it, which I did come to the understanding of. But again, this was my first proper, not park build, but prop build, I guess you could call. And here's me, like, looking at the back and looking at, like, what can I use for the back? Because it's loads of different angles, and you can't have any of them, it's not like a decal. You can just, like, slap it on and it'll go over. It'll shoot off if it's overshooting. So I had to think of a way to make it look, like they're not just sort of only on the bottom and then the sides are only on the sides, to have them overlap in a way that was, kind of seamless, but, there's no workaround for it. So once I started putting on some dirt from the vents, and I probably could have done some dirt from the underneath. I didn't want to make it too dirty. That was the thing. There was part of me that's like, oh, this looks so much cooler with dirt. But again, I don't want this to seem abandoned. I want it to, feel like it's still in use. And there's just some parts that some dirt is kicked up from the wheels and while it's been driving around. Fun fact, the RV, there was only 2 RVs made. One is rotting in the back lot at Universal, and you can't see it in America, it's still there. And the other one is in Japan. It's sort of been restored somewhat, but in Japan, there's no well, actually, I'll save that for the documentary. I don't want to spoil that. Where was I going with this? Oh my god, where was I going with this? I can't remember. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Maybe it'll hit me in a second. Dirt? Didn't want to make it too dirty? Maybe? I don't know. I was looking at something and then... Oh, well, it's getting older. That's what it is. I thought on the roof it made sense to have dirt and dust. Like the rain, sort of collects up there, and any dust it will accumulate in the sides. Oh yeah, the fun fact. In Japan, this RV, you can't even drive on the roads. It's too big. It's too big. It's illegal to actually drive. And I don't know if it's the whole RV, like, the back bit, or if including the back bit, or if it's the front as well. I think the front as well. I think the front is just too... So it's in a country where it can't be driven. So it probably just rocks up on the back of a trailer to the thingy. And here's me. I was like, okay, I've done it. I finished the back. Oh my god. We're half an hour in, and this is 8 hours, I think, almost. And now I'm working on the front. And the front is actually longer than the back, which is interesting. Again, so this is me just like, because you think you click everything and then you move it and you leave one piece behind. And there's no way to select that whole group again unless you've made it a group. So there were so many times that I'd grab everything, move it, leave one behind. Click undo, grab them all again and move it again and hope that I got everything again. I think in the end I just ended up like, again, doing that group selection and then undoing everything that I didn't want to select. Door needed to be moved slightly. The wheels needed to be moved again because I think with this one it has 2, 4, 6 wheels. The back one has 4 wheels. Well, technically I think they're double wheeled. And like I said, you would think you can just duplicate, but again, the windows are different shapes and sizes. And this was a weird thing. You saw that they went, and just slid. I don't know what was going on. There was something the way my camera was in the game that it was just moving. And I wasn't touching anything. It was just moving. I think it was because I was close to the ground and I was close to an object and it was just trying to move me out the way of the object. It's like, why is it moving when I didn't want it to move? So, because there's only 2 shapes of windows for this kind of window. Square, rectangle. I decided what I could do is just have a bit of the what is that called? The rebar or the metal strut or whatever it is, and just block more of it. Block more of the window, and that way I can actually control the shape of the window. And again, I would have preferred not to have the poles connect, you know, between the two and slice it in the middle, but there was no way that I could kind of do that. And then the top, it took me a while to get the top kind of accurate. But what really took me a while was the front, because there was so many times when I was making the front that I was like, this doesn't look good. But I'm spending all this time, and it doesn't look good. Well, why? And it's because at the front, the RV curves completely almost. I mean, it's flat for a majority, which I can work with, but then the sides are curved, and also the top's curved. So I think I just said screw it to the top. I was like, oh, whatever, we'll be square up there. But oh no, I did. I curved it down. It was just such a chew on. And obviously, because I'm a noob at this, basically, I don't know what things would be the best to make a curve. So I was just winging it on the go, and there we go. Again, I had to do the select because I couldn't select the middle bit, so I had to do the group select for the tires. There were some things as well at the corners that I deleted, and things I realized was like, wait, these don't match up. What was I doing? So as I was getting, you know, better at, well, I was just getting better as I was making it, I suppose. And you may question, Beaver, how can you talk about building for 50 minutes? Well, I've done live streams for more than 2 hours just building, but this is, you're going to get a product at the end. Hopefully we'll do some glamour shots of it as well at the end. Obviously with the workshop, I want to put the bull T-Rex next to it to get a nice screenshot. And really you mean when you download this, you could probably just group select the front of the RV, rotate it, to make it, you know, you don't want it straight. You want it kind of like at an angle or like as if it's turned in. Because I think that's kind of what it's like. I can't remember. And again, there was no like perfect thing for the way to make that, like where the light bars are. Because I looked at what the other guy had done, Altered Perceptions, and they'd used the cross section, not a cross section, but a stabilizing section of the metal. And it was just too thick. It was really thick, and like massive bolts, and I was like, no. I've come all this way. We're gonna look through all the metal things, everything we can use here, and find the right things here. And again with the lights as well, trying to get them kind of accurate. I didn't go for yellow. Should have went for yellow, I think, with the lights, but I don't know. I like the white glow of the lights. Yellow's more 90s, I suppose. And here's me, because the way this pipe goes, it sort of comes up the top, goes across, and I think with the front bit, the pipes wrap all the way around. There's like no stopping with the pipes. So you're not really supposed to look at them like to think, does that work? Just like, oh, that looks cool. And again, because one side's different to the other, it was really a chew on to get these pipes to match up. Pipes are one of those things that do snap to each other when, you know, because they're the same thing. So I actually used that as a way to line all the under pipes up as well. And that was me deleting the front and getting all the inside out as well. And then just bringing some pieces over to make the archways. And then it was about finding what would work for the front. And I was like, okay, well, and where's the glass? Because on their build, they used a curved glass, and they basically just used the whole curved glass to give the shape of the front, and then they just worked from there. And I was like, okay, well, I want a rim round. I want, you know, to make it all this look really cool. I think I ended up using this piece, but differently. And then I just flipped it. I was like, oh, what does it look like if I flip it? Because the underside's, of course, curved as well, but not as much. But my God, was this? This was really difficult, and so many workarounds to try and get it to look good, because you have the curve, and then of course it's flat, but you can't make a square that's small enough to get that. So then I had to just duplicate a bunch of the primitives that are the same shape. And then of course, because of the way it was moving, I was like, okay, well, that needs to come out a little bit further. And it was, Yeah, I mean, you could see, and then instead of using glass, I was like, hold on, what if I use a primitive? We just pretend that it's glass and make it the same color as the glass, and you never know, maybe that'll work. And it was at this point I remember looking at it and going, God, that looks crap. It's like the rest of it, beautiful, looking fabulous. In the front, I was like, what happened to you? And that's look, you can see me. I went to the other guys. I went to Alter Perceptions and I went to help. I was like, what did you do? Please. And then I decided to give myself a break a little bit. Like, okay, well, let's do some lights. Let's do something else. We can come back to it. Maybe it'll take shape later on. And instead of doing it vertical, I decided to turn it horizontal, because it's just that top bit is the glass, and the bottom bit, it doesn't need to be, and it'll probably be too long. So then it was just a case of looking at the original RV, breaking it down piece by piece, going, okay, that top section can be a curve and rectangles, that bottom section can just be a massive rectangle there, and working our way back from that, and just filling in the gaps. And again, they're all different scales, and they're all different bits, so you've got to think which ones are on the outside that are going to fill in most of the space. Otherwise, you know, you're going to get all these weird little seams like Lego, you know, it's not all one flat color, which you kind of want it to look like. That, you know, you want to make it look like it is a legit thing when it's all one piece. You don't want to make it look like, oh, that's a thingy. And I did something that I thought I was being smart, actually, and I realized when I was looking through the workshop, other people have done it as well. I use a light for a wing mirror and just turn the light off. I was like, that's perfect because it looks like a wing mirror. And then when I was looking at Galahad's RVs, he did exactly the same. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not smart, not special. But hey, great minds think alike. So even to the lights, because of the way I ended up doing it, and here's the tricky part. Here's me, okay, trying to find something that will work, and that I can, you know, get lining up at the side and lining up at the front, and then I can just duplicate it all up and down. The problem is, because the window curves in, they're going to go through the window, so I can only get these primitive weird cylinders up to a point. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that. And then, of course, I'm like, okay, well, why is that one out of line? So then I delete a whole row of other primitives and then bring them all in line so there's no seam. And the way I do it, and here's me trying to find, like, a way to make less objects for anyone who wants to download it and doesn't want, like, a massive thing. And again, I would love to have made it just one square there, but you can't make one small enough. So I have to make loads of those. And because of the way the things line in, it actually gives that second light on the outside. It makes it look thin. So I inadvertently made an indicator for myself. And then I duplicate it to try and match the outsides. And that actually looks nicer because you don't have a random beam going down one side. You actually have beams going around both. That looks nicer. So you have headlights, you have indicators, and you have, I don't know what the bottom lights are. I don't know what you would call those. It's been a long time since I did my theory test, I guess. But you have those as well. And I think I put some other lights at the bottom, possibly. I can't remember. There's a bunch of lights. When, again, I was just trying to make this as accurate as possible. And then came the grill. Because even though this game has loads of cool things, you know, cage, metal wires, and what have you, there just isn't something that screams grill for a car, or in this case, an RV. So I think I ended up doing what he did, which was, it's like a cage. It's some cage, and there's a cage top as well. And then here's me trying to find out what I could use that would look most kind of RV. I think did I end up doing that? I don't think so. And I wanted to look at a bus. I was like, what does a bus use? Should I have used a bus as, you know, a starter? Then I ended up using this massive one. And actually, the AC unit that's behind it acts as a divider. And that's what the real one has, is, you know, these two separated bits. And then here's me, like, trying to find a way to maybe make this work, maybe make it long way, lengthways, and then rotate that way. And in the end, I think I just duplicate the window multiple times down. But I am still trying to find, like, a better way to do it. And like I said, this took 12 hours. 12 hours to do. Multiple days working on and off while doing other things, and then I resort to the cage, and I hate the way the cage looks, because it has the corners, yes, but there's no middle bit that really works. I mean, you have this bit, but it just doesn't. So I don't know what I did actually. I think I do keep this. Maybe I turn it upside down and then put something over the top. I think I do. But you know, I think if you're not looking at it for too long, it looks good. It's like, oh yeah. But at the moment, there just isn't anything, and I even resort to the gantries. It was that bad. I was like, maybe we could just use the gantry. Gantry to hide all of the seams. And of course, because the gantry is quite thick, you know, if there is any seams, you do have a good leeway. Super tough. And I think, yeah, like, look at that. There wasn't a way to make that... It's like called cage top. So you'd think it would fit in the gap or somewhere. But it must be for the actual top of the cage. Like, you make this cage out of the four corners and then plonk that on the top. But I'm too long. This RV is too long to have that. And if you make it too big, then it's going to go through the ground. It's going to do some weird things. So I just added some other things to sort of... spruce that up to sort of make it look like it's supposed to be there, and it's all one piece, and you don't have all these ends. And then I just go over some finishing touches. I don't think did I do the roof? I haven't really touched the roof on the front one here. It's still got the original one. And then some pipes, and I decide to add some weird little twist knob lever at the top. I was like, I don't know, it makes it look a little bit better. And then of course I decide to use the other piping round. And I don't think I've even done the other side of the windows at this point. And I'm like trying to find, there's got to be a way. Maybe if I duplicate it, then move it out, maybe that'll work, or maybe I can. I think I do. Yeah, I do add the primitive at the top. I think I do. I can't remember. See, any normal sane person would have been like, no, that's fine, whatever. I'm like, no. There's got to be a way to make it look a little bit better, You know, when you spend hours on a project, it becomes your baby. And that's why I couldn't think about using other people's blueprints and re-uploading them. That just doesn't compute to me. But then, you know, I have trouble uploading my own things. Thinking what other people will judge. I can't believe that some people are like, no, I'll just take their thing and make it mine. Because the other side has a really thin window. And here we go. I'm like, okay, we'll make that. We'll hide it with the window, actually, so you won't even notice. Because at the moment, it was kind of just stuck out, and it didn't look right. And then, what am I doing here? Oh, yeah, that's right. Make it a little bit thinner. So it looks as if it sort of, you know, comes out. It's supposed to be segmented in that sort of fashion. And here we go. Here's my really smart plan. I was like, oh my god, I've made wing mirrors. That's awesome. And then the dirt as well is an interesting thing. Because, you know, you've got dirt corners, dirt whatever. I really wish there was a way, and I guess you could just duplicate it and then put it on the ground. I should have made a flat bit of cement. And then when I have it snapped to ground, it'll just be on the flat bit of cement. Here's me looking at the reference for the other side as well. And going, right, delete it all. Actually, the other side at the front is the only bit that isn't accurate. Because... Or is it? No, I don't think it is. Because there's basically you have the window at the front, and then you have 3 other windows. And, well, we'll see. I think I tried to make it. I couldn't make the poles work. For that small little window. So I ended up using the gantry. And the gantry wasn't that bad, actually. I think, in hindsight, you know, for everything to be the same, I probably could have just used the gantry. I didn't have to use the poles. But the poles just look so much nicer. They look so, like, you know, seeing that curve. When you see a gantry, you know, where the whole thing's got so many of them, you go, oh, that's the same thing. You see the pole, you're like, ooh, different. Something different. I mean, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's screen accurate as screen accurate as it could be? I'm sure someone can take this and maybe change it. What I would like is if somebody changed its colors and everything and made it the toy. What was it? It was like blue and black and yellow. It was really weird looking. So you could take that base and make the Kenner version, which is this crazy looking thing. But I think as far as screen accuracy goes, You know, I was thinking about switching the back thing because after making some more stuff, I remember finding this weird little facility thing on the roof, and I decided against it anyway. So there's me using the gantry, and like I said, it works. I would have preferred poles, and even that window, even when you scale the pole down, it's too big. It doesn't work. So, but yeah, I think it's just a case of filling in with dirt, and then onto the glamour shots. But I had so much fun making it. I mean, the process was slow and laborious, but you know, you stick on something and you get swept away. Before you know it, 8 hours have gone, 4 hours have gone. And now that I've uploaded, I will no longer feel the pressure to not use anyone else's things. As you know, I'll credit, of course, but I felt like I was a bit like, I haven't you know, uploaded anything that anyone can use, and I'm just using other people's things. That seems a bit crap. Like, oh, that's really cool, mine. But again, that's my thought process, is that to, you know, not just take other people's things without contributing. But yeah, now we'll get onto some glamour shots with the RV. In the description, you can find the code to save it. I'll also put the codes for the other ones, that being Altered Perceptions and Baladi, who used Altered Perceptions and put different things on. So if you enjoyed this, enjoy the show.